Hello there, my name is Dan. The main purpose of my channel is to show people how to grow their own fruits and vegetables, no matter what size garden, allotment or growing space they do indeed have. So over the last few years I've been working on a partial self-sufficiency project here in Essex, UK, and I'd like to show you how to do the same if indeed you wish to. So please feel free to like, share and subscribe so you'll be notified of any future videos that I put up. You can see the polytunnel here. One thing I like about these designs are the hinged doors, which I think are very, very good in terms of durability. So there you go, I'll give you a little internal view of the polytunnel here. Now I put this polytunnel up, finished completing it on the 10th of May, and I made a video how to put up a polytunnel. So I'll link that down below if you're interested. In that video I detail how I made the base and how the polytunnel is put together. Going to take the camera around and we can have a bit of a chat about some of the things I've got growing here in the polytunnel. The melon project is starting to get interesting now, so we will get to that in a moment. Many of you may be aware that I'm very keen on the growing of peaches, and I wish to expand on that, and also I want to get into the growing of nectarines as well. So I have a peach and a nectarine tree here in this polytunnel. Many of you may be aware of my Dixie red peach in my other polytunnel, which was incredibly productive this year, so I hope to continue that way here in this polytunnel. This is nectarine variety Lord Napier. So it's in the corner here in the polytunnel, and I've got it growing in a 25 or 30 litre pot that I've sunk into the ground. So the reason why I've done that is because I don't want to put the tree into the ground, simply because I don't want it to get too big. Now what I'm going to be doing is every year, probably in the spring or late winter, just disturb the pot, because the tree will send roots through the holes in the pot into the ground and gain additional water and nutrients from that, which is great because that's what I want, but I don't want it to establish itself that way into the ground. So by doing that, it will remain a controlled pot grown tree. So that brings me on to some kale here. Now this is looking I actually had some of this to eat, but there has been an infestation of caterpillars here, so you can see what's happened. They managed to pull some of them off the other day, and I think I've rescued them. Over here I got some spinach, so you can see this is really coming on very well now, looking very, very healthy indeed. So one great thing about having a polytunnel or a greenhouse is you can extend the season either end by providing a warmer microclimate. So what you want to be doing if you've got things like spinach and kale at these sorts of stages is, if you leave them and get them to a good size before the temperatures drop and the daylight hours get less, you can actually be harvesting them through the winter. Now they won't grow too much whilst there are low light and heat levels, but if you get them to a good size before that happens, then you'll have plenty to eat throughout the colder months, and that's a very great thing to do if you've got a polytunnel or a greenhouse. Now I've got a mound of dirt here and this is what I was growing my container grown early potatoes in. So still in here. Now what I'll probably do is move this, and I'll probably set some seedlings in here, maybe some of these. So I'll link the video down below where I sowed these, but there's quite a lot of varieties of things here, things like lettuces, kale, spinach, chard, and also I've got some dwarf beans here. So everything here is looking quite good actually. Some cabbage here as well. These are what I sowed for my what to sow in August video, and I was given these as well. I didn't grow these from seed. Some rocket here, so another gardener very kindly gave these to me. Looking good, aren't they? So watering in a polytunnel or a greenhouse can of course be a great challenge, because even if it rains outside, of course, unless your polytunnel or greenhouse is leaking, you're not going to get any of that rain inside. So mulching is very important in a polytunnel. You've probably seen it, it's not mulched in here because this is a relatively new project, but that's something I'm going to be doing. So you can use things like leaf mould, you could use wood chip, you could use compost from your compost bin. Horse manure can also be used as a mulch. I'm just waiting to get down to the manure pile to get some. And what you can actually do, particularly if you've got a polytunnel or a greenhouse, and if you're willing to budget the space for it, you can cook a cubic metre of horse manure to make usable compost relatively quickly if you can keep the temperature up. And you need the cubic metre for the size volume, but that's something I'm going to be looking at doing soon, maybe cooking it in a ton bag. So when that happens, I will be making a video on that. Now the ginger's looking very, very good. You may remember when I set that, quite strong. I'm giving it plenty of water. Now of course, with regards to growing ginger, you don't want to overwater it because the root can rot, but it's been so warm of late, it's drinking all of the water that I'm putting in there. Doesn't look unlike bamboo, does it really? The strawberries have finished and many of them have put out runners. So this is variety El Santa. I leave my tags on so that I know what I'm growing, most of the time anyway. And what they do is they put out runners like this, okay? So you see the mother plant here, and then the runner comes off, and I just proceed to put it in a pot of compost. Now this is taken, put a stone over it, and that'll take, so I can cut that off now, and that's a runner. And what I do is I just take the first runner off of each shoot. I would not, if this put out a runner, or indeed had another runner off of it, I wouldn't take that because it's more likely to be weaker than this one here. So you can see I've got some more strawberry plants that I took from runners here. I believe these are variety Royal Sovereign, which is a very traditional variety. Not a heavy cropper, but very tasty indeed. Now strawberries can be a great part of a permaculture food forest project. Many of you are aware that I'm very much into permaculture, because strawberry plants, they tend to sort of lose their vigour after about 3 years. So you can take runners off of them. So let's say you buy yourself 10 plants of a particular variety. If you take runners year after year, you won't have to buy any more. So if you can get early, mid, late and perpetual varieties of strawberry, all different varieties, you can have so much for a one-time investment and then just keep propagating via runners from there. We will make our way over to the melon project. I'm growing a selection of varieties of melons, so we'll start down here with Petit Gris de Rot, which is around 400 years old as a variety, and you can have a look at that. Look, now that looks amazing, doesn't it? That's probably certainly bigger than a tennis ball. So there's one here and there's one here. So take a look at that. Now it is said that this variety is a good melon to grow outside if you're going to, but it's also said that it will grow better in a polytunnel or a greenhouse. This is Sweet Granite, which is a melon bred for those with short growing seasons, and it's an early ripening melon. This is the 5 dessert melon. I've got 3 of those. Now my Blacktail Mountain watermelons haven't set any sizable fruit yet, but there still is time. Now I'm letting the melon plants trail all over the place, okay? As far as I'm concerned, you know, they can take over all of here through the gaps. I have no problem with that. All of the seeds for these sweet melons I purchased from realseeds.com, the Real Seed company. In my opinion, they're a very good company indeed. So take a look at their website. I'll link that down below. I'm not affiliated with them. Okay, I'm recommending them purely because I've had good results with their products. Many of you have seen things I've grown from them before, and they're very, very good. They're very ethical as well, for what I can see. For instance, they offer a lower cost delivery charge for people who are having financial difficulties, if you will, and they let you choose that. So of course there's a bit of trust involved there, but I can see that they're really into this for, you know, good reasons. So there we go. So take a look, realseeds.com. Now we will have a look at the bitter melons that I'm growing. So bitter melons, otherwise known as bitter gourd, and Filipinos call them empalaya. You know, all cultures have their own words for things, but certainly very intriguing to grow. And it's said they're very beneficial for people with type 2 diabetes. So look into that. You need to do your research though before you eat these, all right, to see if it's applicable to you. Take a look at these. So they're growing up some string here up the polytunnel. Now they're really, really cool, and they're more of a savoury melon than a sweet melon, and they are an acquired taste, but they're certainly good fun to grow and quite a curiosity. They're used very much in Asian cuisine. I think they're used in African cuisine as well, and they're generally a warm climate crop. They do need heat, but here in the southeast of the UK they grow wonderfully, and I've grown them before, so I'll link some videos down below so you can see what they look like when they are mature. Now I'll show you what they look like at the moment. So there you go. That's what they look like at the moment, just a sort of little fruitlet, if you will, veggilet, however you want to put it. But what else have we got? We've got another one here. There you go. So certainly good fun, and the bees and that love the flowers. I think there's about 4 on there at the moment. There will be a lot more. With regards to growing melons, now they're generally not a crop that you would class as sort of a sure thing here in the UK, if there is such a thing. Now I've made no effort at all to hand pollinate these. I've left everything purely to the bees, the hoverflies, and the flies you can see flying around here to do the pollination. Okay, I'll leave the door open on the polytunnel for circulation and of course for pollination as well, to let the insects in. But all of these fruits that have set have done so on their own accord, no hand pollination. We'll take a look at my little section over here. So you can see this eggplant here. Quite a specimen this is. I'm very happy with it, and no fruit set as yet, but looking good. Now here I've got a dwarf Cavendish banana plant, so I'm hoping one day to be able to produce a crop of edible bananas here in this very polytunnel, but we will see. I'm not expecting it to happen anytime soon, but it's certainly a goal of mine. Now, it's put out some lovely suckers, which I'm very happy about. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th little small one there coming up, so I'm very happy, and I love this lovely pattern that the young leaves of the dwarf Cavendish have. So we will see. Now, one potential idea I've got for this is to take one of these suckers and put it in the ground here and try and overwinter it out here in the polytunnel. Now what I could do, because of course these melon plants will be gone by then, I could maybe build or just hang some bubble wrap down for an extra bit of microclimate to keep it warmer, and we'll just see what I get up to, but that's a plan. Now the yuzu is looking good here, and got a little fruit set there. Just get into focus, there you go. Now these are allegedly hardy down to -10. I had it outside all of last winter in the other polytunnel, protected when it was very cold by last winter standards anyway, with a net curtain, and it came through. And here we go. This is a blood orange which has set loads of little flowers on. Yep, and set some new fruit as well. I've got some little blood oranges ripening on there right now. The coffee plant down there starting to look a bit more healthy now with regards to the greenness of these leaves, but these flowers on here. Now the fig, Madeleine de deux saisons, allegedly can produce 2 crops here in the UK of figs a year. We'll see. Particularly should be nice here in the polytunnel. Got some sweet corn in here, variety Early Extra Sweet F1. These are from Thompson and Morgan. So I planted these out a little bit later than I normally would, but they seem to be doing well. I'm expecting a crop, and of course one good thing about growing them in the polytunnel is if the weather does turn outside, it will keep them a few degrees warmer in here, so hopefully I can get a good crop of sweet corn. We'll have a look over here. Now I need to give these some water, you can see clearly that, but so I've got a fig here, variety Blanche. This is a cutting that I took, or I was given, and here I've got, what have I got? These are hot peppers, variety Onavec. These came from the Real Seed Company, the seeds, and you can see looking very good. Nice pepper, nice in a stir fry, really will spice things up for you if that's your thing. Down here you can see I've got some clementines grown from seed that once again I was given. So as they're grown from seed, they may or may not be true to type, but either way I'm willing to give them a go. Chrysanths here, guess what? Given these as well, so they're really, really lovely. One good thing about gardening is you can swap things with other gardeners if you've got too much. You know, let's say you've got too many tomato plants and they want some, and then you want to swap courgettes or something like that. Just a very great community that can be built. You can see my 2 date palms under there that were grown from seeds, pips, whatever, from a date, and you can see there's cuttings from grapevines here, some more spinach plants. Quite a lot going on. We will talk a little bit about grapevine cuttings. Grapevines are very easy to propagate from cuttings. This is Lakemont Seedless behind me, a great variety to grow here in the UK, and this vine here I took from a cutting. And you can see just how many bunches of grapes are on here, and these are deliciously sweet when they're ripe, almost like honey. When you take your grapevine cuttings for the first year when they're establishing, you want to keep them outside, okay? They don't want to be in full sun all day because this can stress them, and you also need to keep them moist. So keeping them in a polytunnel for the first year you're trying to get your cutting to establish wouldn't be a good idea. Keep it outside. So I was talking about extending the growing season earlier on. Now I've set these dwarf beans variety Rondo, and you can see they're coming on very well. So all being well, I'll be getting dwarf beans, these are a bush variety, in October. That'd be great. Now with regards to helping the microclimate even more, what I might do is actually set them, when they're a little bit bigger, in these polystyrene tubs. That'll help to keep the roots warmer, so if the weather does cool a bit, they should still stay warm. Here is peach variety Peregrine. Had 1 peach off of this year, which I'm very grateful for, and hopefully next year more will come. So polytunnels can be used to great advantage in a grow your own project, no matter what size. You can get little cold frames, you can get mini greenhouses, you can get different sizes, and they're really, really good. And if you think about it, a windowsill can sort of be your own miniature greenhouse, so you can tailor make this sort of thing to what you're up to. So a really, really nice thing to have in your quest, if you will, for growing your own food. Another thing they can be very good for is it's an easy way of keeping birds off of your produce, okay? So many of you have seen the strawberries that I grew here, and also the blueberries. I moved the plants in here, some of them anyway, whilst they were cropping, so that the birds stayed off of them, although I did notice the odd bird flying around in here, but you're going to get that. But a very good way of keeping birds off of your crop. If you look at a commercial cherry farm, strawberries, whatever, things like that, you'll generally see that they're grown under cover nowadays, and that is one of the reasons why they do this. Thank you very much for viewing, people. So just a word now with regards to when you construct your polytunnel or greenhouse, okay, make sure you do it properly, okay? Secure it properly to the ground so it doesn't blow away, and you really want to take time in doing this. So some people have asked me how much has this polytunnel cost me to make it this way. So with regards to all of the groundwork and including the polytunnel, I probably spent about £400 on it. Now I saved up for this over a period of time, okay? Many of you may be aware that I started talking about getting a new polytunnel some time ago, and I only put this up on the 10th of May, or finished putting it up on the 10th of May. So take your time. I wouldn't recommend, you know, I want one, so you go out and buy the cheapest one you can, okay? Sometimes that can work, but generally I recommend, you know, take your time, get what you want. Even if you have to wait a year or so longer, just save up. What's the rush? So including the groundwork here and everything, we'll probably say about £400, plus also I had to take some time off of work in order to put it up and prepare the ground and everything. I had to move some dirt and everything. Check that video out, you'll see a bit more about it. So £400 plus 3 days off of work. So how much you earn at work plus how much you spend on it is how much it'll cost you to build something like this. But galvanized frame I generally recommend, hinged door and good secure groundwork, because all being well this polytunnel will stand for the next 20 odd years, and it's expected I will have to change the cover. That's normal, but hopefully the framework will stay. We'll chat about some of the grapevines I've got growing in here. So they're young specimens. This is variety Rhea, okay, which I got from Victoriana Nursery. So the plan will be to grow this as a cordon. I'm just letting it establish this year. Now, grape variety Rhea, look it up, R-H-E-A. This down here is grape variety Riesling. Look that one up. Thank you very much for viewing, people, and I will see you in the next video. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time.